So good day everyone, good day sir. I am Elaine Paulino, and for today's video we will be discussing about the agricultural machineries and irrigation industry. So let's now start about the overview or the introduction of these industries. The Philippine government has been striving to develop appropriate agricultural machineries and other mechanization technologies. It is well known that agricultural mechanization raises the efficiency of farm operations and inputs, and lowers production costs and post-harvest losses. Agricultural market equipment started to boom with the introduction of rice combine harvesters by Kubota in year 2010. During the initial years, farmers were hesitant in adopting these equipments as they had no knowledge about usage of these equipments, also for losing their jobs. However, growing support from the government and private investors helped enhancing farm mechanization in the country. So now let me show you some of the agricultural machineries and irrigation technologies. And now let's proceed to the supply and demand gap of agricultural machineries. Sources of agricultural machinery supply and equipment came from local production and importation. This includes craftsmen and small-scale seasonal manufacturers. These local manufacturers can only make small machinery like power tillers, hand tractors, pallet threshers, husker sheller, corn sheller, harvester, flash dryer, rice mill, pumps, disc plows, disc harrows, poultry and livestock equipment. These are manufactured in Bulacan, Pampanga, Tarlac, Los Baños, Laguna, and Manila. This data shows the supply of agricultural machineries in the Philippines. There are about 56% in the Luzon, 8% in the Visayas, and 36% in the Mindanao. The larger and more sophisticated machinery like mill equipment, irrigation system, recirculating dryers, sugarcane equipment, incubator, grain silo, tractors, and etc. are imported. And now let me call on Mr. Pangasinan for the continuation of supply and demand gap discussion.
So this is the continuation of supply and demand gap. So I'm going to discuss to you about the demand gap of agricultural machinery. So the AMMDA, or Agricultural Machinery Manufacturers and Distributors Association, estimated that the annual demand for the water tillers will range from 15,000 to 20,000. The rice threshers from 8,000 to 10,000 units, and the rice mill for about 4,000 units. But unfortunately, their estimated annual demand doesn't met due to pandemic, which means that their sales is also affected. So part 3 is the key players of agri-machinery. So the first one is Kubota, Janmar, Massey, Ferguson, CNH, Dandiri, McCormick, Landini. But in terms of market share, sales, and production, since 2018 and 2019, the John Deere Corporation is the leading company among them.
Good afternoon to each and everyone. I am Queen Angel Lamportas, and I'm going to discuss about the market distribution of agricultural machineries here in the Philippines. Agricultural equipment market here in the Philippines is import driven. It started to boom with the introduction of combined rice harvesters by Kubota in 2010. During the initial years, Farmers are hesitant in adopting this equipment because they have no knowledge and they were afraid of losing their jobs. However, growing support from the government and private sectors help in enhancing farm mechanization here in the Philippines. Domestic demands for equipment is principally met through imports, which are primarily imported from countries such as Thailand, China, Japan, US, Korea, and India. Now, let's talk about the current trends of agricultural machineries here in the Philippines. The level of farm mechanization in the country has risen to 1 horsepower per hectare from 0.52 horsepower per hectare in the 90s, making it possible to the country to catch up by neighboring the Southeast Asian countries by 2016, according to the latest survey of the Philippine Center. The Philippines still lags behind other countries in Southeast Asia in terms of farm mechanization. Among the leaders in Asia are Japan with the mechanization level of 7 horsepower per hectare. Next is South Korea with 4.11 horsepower per hectare. Then China with 4.10 horsepower per hectare. Lastly, Vietnam with 4.1 mechanization per hectare. Under the Farm Modernization Program, the Department of Agriculture can subsidize up to 95% of acquisition cost of farm machineries by qualified farmers and irrigators associations. The remaining 15% of the acquisition cost can be shouldered by the beneficiaries themselves, the respective local government units, or other private entities. With continued investment in farm mechanization program by the government and the private sectors, the mechanization level will be raised up to 2 horsepower per hectare by next year. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Juan May Romero. Problem: financing as the imported machines are expensive. Solution: depending on the type of machinery is required. There are several options on financing the asset that you want to import. Financing for an outright purchase is one way, wherein it is done via loan to a lender that could be paid through installment plus the interest for an agreed period of time. Period may vary to the lifespan of machinery that you are trying to purchase. Another ways are through renting and or leasing the machinery in a set period of time and payment terms. Maintenance of the asset is usually tied up to leasing terms. However, I agree that non-integral parts of the machinery could be produced and purchased locally in an event of repair or schedule maintenance. This could lessen the maintenance cost as you won't need to have it imported. Problem: machine types suitability in relation to farm size and farm operation. Initial analysis and inspection of the farm site should be truly done to identify the suitable machineries for farm operation. It is always proper to review the machinery's specification and the recommended terrain usage, as this will avoid losses in both financial and technical aspects.